And then after I got through the initial resistance and the ego and all of that sort of stuff, I just had so much to say to myself that I didn't even know I had to say. So many things came out and I'm like, where did this come from? I didn't even know this about myself. And it actually helped spark a couple of different things. Just a level of vulnerability. I know I had been practicing with vulnerability, and that was the most vulnerable I've ever felt myself be. But then I think most importantly, just being able to really connect with who you are and your own truth, that was something that I'd never experienced. And so as I practiced more with it, I started to realize, oh, all of the answers that I keep looking for outside of myself have always been here. I just didn't know how to listen. And that's what journaling opened up for me.
Hello, fellow entrepreneurs and goal getters to entrepreneurial elevation, unleashing greatness within with myself, your host, Kelly Beveridge, and my special guest today, Cheryl Sutherland. And just a friendly reminder, if you enjoy this, oh, there she is. Hello. If you enjoy this episode, comments, go ahead over to YouTube, subscribe. We would appreciate it. And I just want to introduce Cheryl. So Cheryl and I met through personal development. We have a ton of mutual friends, and I am so inspired by her because anybody who has the courage to leave their 9 to 5, move, start a business, and turn it into a massive success, in my eyes, is just a badass. Like, I am so inspired by women and people who have the bravery to do that. And that is what she's done. And so we're going to talk about that today. She is a mindfulness speaker and the founder of PleaseNotes, a for-purpose company of affirmation-filled products. And Cheryl, what I love about PleaseNotes too is she's been featured in like the coolest spaces, Forbes, InStyle, Huffington Post, so many others to mention, so many other outlets. And she inspires women to step into their power by building confidence, clarity, and creativity through journaling and affirmations. And so just really excited to pick her brain today around these two things and some of her other modalities. And just Cheryl, welcome to the podcast today.
Oh my gosh, Kelly, thanks for having me. This is super fun.
I love it. And I forgot to mention, Cheryl lives in Toronto and also resides in Los Angeles. So this morning I was like, which one? Where are you? She's in Toronto today. Okay, so Cheryl, I'm going to dive right in. So my first question is like, how did you discover the power of affirmations and journaling? And what inspired you to build a business around it?
Great question. Of course, we've had the opportunity to go through and start our journey in personal growth the same way. And it was actually on one of these experiences, my first big 7-day workshop in California. I'm like learning all this stuff. And one of the things that they had asked us to do was for journal. So it was to journal in silence for 10 minutes. And I remember thinking like, what the hell is this? And so for the first 3 minutes, it was like, this is dumb. I can't believe I came all this way and I paid all this money to write in a corner like I'm a child. And then after I got through the initial resistance and the ego and all of that sort of stuff, I just had so much to say to myself that I didn't even know I had to say. Like, so many things came out and I'm like, where did this come from? I didn't even know this about myself. And it actually helped spark a couple of different things. Just a level of vulnerability. I know I had been practicing with vulnerability, and that was the most vulnerable I've ever felt myself be. But then I think most importantly, just being able to really connect with who you are and your own truth, that was something that I'd never experienced. And as I practiced more with it, I started to realize, oh, all of the answers that I keep looking for outside of myself have always been here. I just didn't know how to listen. And that's what journaling opened up for me.
Wow, I love that. And then, okay, so you had that experience for yourself. And then how many years later? So maybe talk about how you continue to use that practice, and then how did it blossom into PleaseNotes?
Yeah. With this, it really helped me go through and figure out, again, who I was, what I wanted to create, what brought me joy so I could start doing more of that. But then also the way I used to make decisions was just asking like a plethora of friends and being like, okay, which one feels good or which one feels like the best, and then making a decision that way. But by using journaling, I was able to really start accessing like my inner knowing, my inner power. So even when it came to things like deciding to leave my job, I knew that was the right move for me. But being able to reinforce myself in making that decision, it came from the conversations I had with myself with journaling. Even in deciding to move to California, it was just so clear because I had no resistance. I had no resistance because the idea just felt so good. And I knew I could trust myself because I had practiced that particular feeling with journaling. And then even when I decided to leave my job to start this company, it was never going to be a journaling company. It was supposed to be just sticky notes with all these different affirmations that felt good. But the reason I was able to find this as my business is I wrote down, what do I want? I wanted to work somewhere where I can make money anywhere. I wanted to start my own business. I wanted to be able to be on my laptop by the beach or wherever. And then I also wanted to be product based. Every time I go to manifest something, I just write down in bullet point, this is what I want. This is what I want it to look like. This is how I want it to affect people. This is how I want to feel in the day to day. And then therefore, when the actual idea comes up, I'm able to recognize it and say, yes, this is it. So it was actually when I was on a plane somewhere and I was like, well, wait a second. What about like a way to surround myself with affirmations? Because I easily forgot who I was. But then when I thought about it, I was like, okay, this is what it would look like. All the things I had on my list were exactly what PleaseNotes was. And that's when I knew, yes, this is my next best step. And this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. And it's almost been 9 years and in a couple months that I've been running this, and just tapping back into that inner knowledge has been the thing that has helped me guide it to the level of success that I have.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And okay, let's talk about journaling and affirmations because those are like words that get thrown around, yet I'm curious around your take. And I love how you shared that journaling is having a conversation with yourself, right? And I always believe like the power of the questions we ask ourselves is going to be the quality of the outcome of our life and our
Mhm.
reality. And so I love that it's about, like you shared, that it's like sitting down and asking yourself the questions and trusting that like you have the answers. I love that. So, what are some steps? So, if we focus on journaling for a
Mhm.
sec, what are some steps someone can take to start a powerful journaling practice to develop a mindset for their entrepreneurial endeavors that's going to serve them and support them?
Yeah, I think first of all, getting clear on like why you want to journal. Are you just journaling because people say it's good for you, or are you journaling because you have an intention behind it? I know when I started, it was really just like sifting through some of my feelings. Sometimes for people, it's just getting their thoughts out and just lessening the amount of anxiety you have. Because when you have these thoughts and ideas swirling in your head, I don't want to say useless, but you get caught up and you get stuck with this analysis paralysis because there's so many things happening. When you actually just get it out on pen and paper, your mind just clears and it's just easier for you to make clear decisions. I also equate it to going to the gym for the first time. If you've never been to a gym, if you've never taken like phys ed, you're going to have somebody teach you how to use the equipment or guide you on, okay, how about you try 5 sets of this and for this long and all those sort of things. Having that guide, having that coach, having that support system is really going to support you in not only getting into the practice of, but then getting you started and then letting you create a practice that really works for you. So I always say getting started with a guided journal is the best way. And that's why I decided to make a guided journal, because just being told to sit there with a piece of blank paper, that can be quite intimidating. A lot of people find that their mind goes completely blank when even 5 seconds ago it was flooded with things. But I always find that the questions are the tricky part. Like, how do you know how to ask yourself the right questions? How do you know what questions to even prompt yourself? And that's why having that guided journal is super supportive. Of course, I've got a plethora of different guided journals. And then, of course, even within outside of myself and the things that I do, there's always like different journaling challenges that people are playing with. I know specifically have put together like workshops and subscription services to support people in making it a habit and making it easy for them to get started and to keep going.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So use a guided journal in the beginning if you're not sure where to start.
Mhm.
I think that's such good advice. And then you talked about how we have so much stuff
Mhm.
in our head 24/7. And it's true. I'm sitting here thinking like it's just clutter sometimes in my mind, right? And I'm attempting to figure out what is the quote unquote right moves to make for myself personally or in my business or in my relationships. And it's easy to go into confusion or overwhelm or breakdown. So, what is the power of journaling when it comes to eliminating that clutter and opening up space for some clarity and answers to start to come in? Can you speak to that a little
Of
bit?
course. So it always reminds me of Brene Brown, and I love Brene Brown. But one of the things that she speaks
Mhm.
about is how we need to just write down the things that are plaguing us. So if we are thinking like, if we don't do something, something bad is going to happen, like really just going ahead and writing down the worst case scenario. If this business doesn't work, then I'm going to be like homeless and then have to sell my eggs, whatever scenario that you work out to be the worst case scenario. And then you find out like, hey, actually, that's not so bad. Or actually, if it did happen, I'd probably end up like on my mom's couch and she'd make me soup and maybe give me a look every once in a while. But I would be able to pick myself up and maybe move some money around or apply for a job. Like it's not the end of the world. But then when you start to actually write those things and lay it out, again, if it's you're just working out some anxiety or figuring those things out, when you see it in black and white, you're like, oh, this isn't as big of a problem as I thought it was. Like when you have your rational mind kick in and you look at it, you're like, I can handle that. Or I know for myself, for business, one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people will get into this overwhelm because you're constantly making a lot of decisions. So being able to write those things down and being like, okay, these are the things that I need to make decisions on, or these are the things that I need to do, you're able to say, okay, this is going to be priority. This I'm going to be able to delegate. This I need to hire for, and then just move forward with clarity and confidence. And the thing is, it really comes down to the energy of it. What energy are you bringing to these decisions? If you're bringing frantic energy, you're going to get frantic results. If you bring clarity, confidence, this feeling of like, oh, everything's handled, then that's what you're going to attract, making it more or easier for you to attract the success that you want.
Yeah, I love that. And it helps navigate the ups and downs, your energy, like you're saying, what energy you're bringing to the table, your decisions, which is super awesome. Yeah, it's so funny as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm getting inspired because, and here's a question I have because I keep telling myself I should be journaling. Like I should. So I'm shooting on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I know the practice is impactful, yet I just struggle to make it a consistent habit. So do you have tips for the entrepreneurs out there and the goal getters out there who understand the value of it and the importance of it, yet just aren't doing it?
Yeah, I think you have to find a practice that works for you. I've been playing with the miracle mornings. And one of the things that I like about the miracle mornings is I can reorient and rejig it in whatever way I want. Let's say, for example, you wake up, you have your appreciation, you might do 5 minutes of journaling right off the bat. And it could even just be like what you want to focus on. It could be gratitude. It could be like great things that happened yesterday. It could be great things that you want to happen today, whatever it is. And then exercise, meditate, whatever way that works for you, just play with that. It could be that you have an alarm that comes on at 12 o'clock, like in the middle of the day. You stop, you take a moment, and then you take 5 minutes just to write out, okay, and figure out like, is my energy where I want it to be? What are my intentions for the rest of the day? It could even just be like you writing out conversations that you had with people or like just goals that you want to get. It could be anything, but it's just a practice of putting pen to paper is what's going to allow your subconscious to support you. And it's literally like you're calling in this extra virtual assistant or a virtual assistant team, and you're going to get
Like that.
so much more done and be so much more effective. So why would you not want to? It's like a lot of people that want to biohack. So they're putting coconut oil in their coffee and like taking chlorophyll and like mushroom chaga, all those different things. Yeah, you can do a lot of things like pouring things in. However, you have this opportunity to accelerate your results by getting things out too.
I love it. And then I think also like calling in the answers, like how aligned is journaling to our intuition?
I think it's 100% aligned. I think that realistically, it's easy for us to discount our intuition or our gut or whatever because it's in our heads or it's a feeling that resonates within our body. However, when you get that out and you say, oh, this is what this means to me, then you're able to see it in a clearer way. Your brain is able to process it and you're able to actually take action steps on it versus just discounting away a thought because the energy of a thought versus an energy of a written statement are two different things.
And see, I like that, right? Because I'm really working on practicing trusting my intuition
Mhm.
at a higher level. And so I like how journaling is correlated to that because it's really just when I'm journaling, I'm actually that's what I'm doing is I'm calling my intuition to get answers so I can make decisions.
Mhm.
And okay, so let's segue to affirmations
Yeah.
and then we'll come back around to journaling too. So first of all, like for the listeners, like what is an affirmation?
I used to say an affirmation is a positive statement that you want to be true, that you reiterate multiple times. Now I'm very clear that an affirmation is pretty much anything that you state about yourself, others, in the world. And then our brains are super flexible. We have this thing called neuroplasticity. And in reiterating certain things and tying it with emotional response, we actually wire our brains to think certain thoughts. That's why people can be this way and then change to be completely different as they encounter different things or have different people around them. Whether you're saying that you don't like a situation, you don't like a person, or you want more from this, or you want to be this, or you are this, whatever you say is true. So I would advise anyone when it comes to saying things to be very mindful of the things that come out of their mouth, even if it's about other people. And it could be tricky things that this person is going through. You just want to speak into them like what you want or what you feel like they want as a result so that it can come to them easier.
Yeah, I like that. I like that guidance. Speaking of guidance, because I like affirmations. I love everything you just shared about why they're impactful. Yet there's so many ways to do an affirmation, I feel, based on guidance that you get from people out there. How do you teach affirmations that's different, or what is your guidance when it comes to implementing affirmations?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is most of the people that play with my products, they're in the beginning of their journey or like in the middle of like their personal growth journey. And it's really about reiteration and then making it a consistent habit. So for me, I love having pattern disrupts like with the sticky notes. It's like you can, like, I'm looking up at my desk right now and it's just, oh, I'm amazing at anything I do. So instead of you feeling like, oh, I'm this or this is hard or whatever, you look up and it's pattern disrupt. So it gives you the opportunity to think something different right now. Even with the affirmation cards, just deciding to pull them, be like, this is how I'm deciding to feel. This is what I want to feel. This is how I want to move forward. So the way that I use affirmations is often that way. And then also for myself, having it be some of the foundational things of my day, whether it's again, waking up first thing in the morning, and then being able to look in the mirror and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to create. This is how I'm moving in the world today. This is how, like, really owning my own truth of being like powerful and fantastic and amazing. And then also being the impactful person that I know I truly am. Who do I want to grow into? Who is a successful version of myself? And letting that be the truth. Because the more I practice it, the more it is true. And then even with that, like you're going to make decisions from a different place when you're this person. You're going to say no to certain things or say yes to certain things. You're going to ask for more. You're going to negotiate differently. And you'll notice when you're embodying those affirmations and those I am statements versus when you're still operating the space of lack or lesser than or confusion.
I like it. So it's almost like also supporting you in having an identity shift and a belief around yourself,
Definitely.
which is so powerful.
Mhm.
Do you have examples for yourself, like when you used affirmations and actually saw what you were stepping into manifest for yourself?
So I I think an example we might have in common is TLD. So there's this 90-day leadership program that both myself and Kelly have done. And I have had the opportunity to coach. But during that process, we get assigned a contract that other people tell us who we are. And I was like, who is this? Y'all don't know me. But during the contract process, I did interview a little bit. I'm like, yeah, use this word. But I got a contract that I had to say every day, multiple times a day for those 90 days. And my contract is I'm a worthy, courageous, beautiful woman committed to loving and trusting myself and others now. And with that is something that I have definitely grown into and just opening up the way that I converse with other people, even the way I trust myself, the way I trust others. But then understanding and knowing that I deserve the things that I want is something that I get to, that I've been continually growing into. And even in just reiterating that contract, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is something that I still get to work on. And I'm grateful for that recognition. Another thing I feel like, especially when it comes to affirmations, is just even getting in the feeling of wealth. I'm a wealthy woman. I attract so many things. My love language is gifts, and the amount of free stuff I get randomly all the time, the amount of things that I want or just random experiences I get to go to for free just because of me being me. Other people are like, Cheryl, this is your life. And I'm like, yeah, come on. come along with me. Where's the play? But this is what I get to do, and this is who I am. The recognition of that has definitely taken my life to another level. And I'm just so excited to continue to play with the universe and track more things.
Oh my gosh. You know what I love is as you're speaking, I'm like, like the perspective and the mindset shift of expecting goodness, expecting what you want, expecting what you desire. Of course, it's on its way to me, right? And using affirmations in that way. Speak to that a little bit. Like, how is the power of affirmations used in a way where that is how you live your life? If you're walking through your life with the lens of everything is working out for me, that's quite a different way to live life versus expecting doom and gloom or things to come up. And so maybe speak to the power of affirmations in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Understand, and I'm very cognizant of the fact that people have grown up in different situations. You have a different experience of life than other people do, of course, due to societal effects, where you're born, perhaps like racial things, all of those bits. However, taking a step back from that and really understanding that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, but we chose to have those experiences so that we could grow through and that we can learn something. There's something that we're here to do. And so for me, one of the things that I know, and just based on the way that I grew up, is owning that great things are always happening for me, owning the fact that I'm worthy to have the things that I want, owning the fact that I'm rich and I'm abundant and I have the ability to play in so many different ways is something, or a couple different triggers or different subjects that were difficult for me growing up or that I struggled with growing up. And so that's a thing that I get to learn and that's the thing that I get to own. But then in owning that, I'm not only expanding the universe, I'm actually changing the way that other people are living their lives. I'm changing the way that my life actually looks like on the day to day. There's something I like to reference in regards to attention. When you pay attention to something, it actually changes and it shifts because you're looking at it, because you're focusing on it. Even little things like there is like the water study where if you're focusing positive things into this water that has rice in it, or like even plants, then they change just because of that intention, that because of that energy versus when you're pouring good things onto things. So knowing that our minds have this power of changing this energy, of using this energy, of molding this energy to get more of what we want. Why would we not use it to make the most delicious life? Why would we not use it to impact other people? And it is a practice. And I'm not going to say that it's easy, but in doing so, we have the opportunity to unlock so much greatness, so much abundance, so much play, and be able to give to others in those ways. And also just for ourselves, like, and unlocking and releasing a lot of those things we get to do for others in much bigger ways than they've ever been able to do for us. So let's say, for example, one of the things that I see as part of my abundant life is being able to take my family on quarterly vacations a year. Isn't that delicious? And isn't that something that is coming to them through the path of least resistance, which would be me? Is this not a way that I want to love my family and love the people around me? Isn't this just fun to play with versus a lot of the guilt and attachment and not enoughness and like all this other mess that we attach to some of these levels of success and what it could look like and who we have to be in order to attain it?
Oh my gosh, you just shared so much wisdom and little nuggets and what you just talked about there. I love it. And it's like the path of, it opens up the path of least resistance. And as you're speaking too, I'm thinking there is certain things based on how we grew up or our environment or what's going on or circumstances that aren't in our control. Yet something as simple and as impactful as affirmations can be something that we can control,
Mhm.
right? That can clear up and give a path of least resistance. So I love it. And okay, so if we're relating this to business, what would you say would be some emotional and psychological positive impacts of using affirmations when it comes to the daily dealings of business and the challenges and the ups and downs that we go through?
Yeah. So, for some direct answers or some direct examples, when you're negotiating, let's say, for example, I have a product based business and I often used to struggle with my own value and self esteem, and therefore the value of my products and services, especially when it comes to pricing them. I'm selling them wholesale, going back and forth. So when you feel confident in yourself, when you're clear on your value, when you've been using these affirmations, it's easier for you to go in and say, this is my price. And if that doesn't work for you, that's fine, but this is where I'm at. And then if somebody does want to come back and forth with it, you're not taking it personally. It's just a business decision. It's okay, this is what you can do. Okay, this is where I am. What can you give me to make up for this, like this missing bit? And even being able to say that, people are like, oh, that's wild. I was at a conference the other day and there were some really big, I don't know, big people in regards to making millions of dollars in e-commerce. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. People are like, oh, you just walked up and you talked to that person so easily. And I was like, why wouldn't I? It's not like they were like, don't talk to me. I love who they are. They have great energy. I'd love to have conversations with them. That's how I make friends. Like, why wouldn't I? It doesn't make sense for me to think of, oh, they wouldn't want to talk to me or, oh, I'm inconveniencing them and all that sort of stuff. Whereas if this was like 10 years ago, that's what I would have thought. I would have never had those conversations. I would have never even thought to be in those spaces or even to ask for something. Two more examples I'm going to give out really quickly. One, during
Yeah.
the pandemic, I connected with somebody through social media. And her name is Denise Duffield Thomas. And she's this amazing coach on like manifestation. Her book is called Lucky Bitch. She signed on to Hay House. Amazing. She ended up following me somehow on Instagram. And I was like, hey, I'd love to set 20 minutes to talk to you and pick your brain and whatever. She's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So we ended up having this call. Again, this woman's a multimillionaire and I'm like just me at my mom, my sister's house in Niagara on my little shitty laptop or whatever. And I was like, I would love to do a workshop for your people. Is that something that you're open to? And she's like, yeah, sure, why not? And then, yeah, I could pitch this new workshop. She's like, cool. So we ended up being able to tap into her whole network. And then I ended up like doing this presentation, getting like 6,000 new people on my email list that I didn't have previously because I got to know them through this person and then pitching my product. And she's just like, yeah, no, it's just like you ask and the universe will deliver. Another thing is what I remember when I first moved to Toronto, there was this actual business loan I wanted. And initially, like I had put in all the things and initially they're like, yeah, no, we're not able to give it to you because of XYZ. And I'm like, no, y'all are going to change your mind. And I actually was like thinking about it and I was like, you know what? Nope, it's going to be perfect. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I just got this loan for $40,000. This is what I'm going to use for this money for. And I would sit down randomly. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I got that loan. Or, oh my gosh, look at me. I got that loan. Tell me why 24 to 48 hours later, they called me back and be like, oh, yeah, we decided that we're going to give you the loan. Like it's not hard, but we make it so hard sometimes. But the more we're able to play with it, the more we're able to let ourselves have more of what we want, whether it's through affirmations, journaling, visualization, just being in that space of the having, then we unlock it.
Oh my gosh, I love those examples. And it's so true, especially in business, I find, and I struggle with this, just some of the examples that you feel like what to price or reaching out to that person and expecting that they'd say, yeah, of course you can come on. And look at the benefit it gave you 6,000 extra people on your email list. Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
And the money in your bank account for the loan. Can you give a few other like real examples of the affirmations you told yourself and the belief in the story you were telling yourself while those things were going
I
on?
think the biggest thing that I've been playing with is everything is always working out for me and everything is falling into place. So even when some things that you do want don't work, it's just okay, then that was supposed to happen for a specific reason. And it's just like a redirect, right? Totally detached from it. But I think that's the biggest thing is like understanding, at least for me, that everything is always working out for me, that I'm worthy of all the things that I want. The one that I've been working with right now is I release any value in struggle because I've been on this hustle box or this hustle situation. And I'm like, no, I want to slow down because abundance to me feels like freedom. It feels like flow. It feels like a lot of space. So I'm transitioning into how do I give myself more space because that's where more of the abundance is going to come in. Yeah, there's always new levels of growth and new things to play with.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm sitting here thinking because as you're speaking, I love everything you're sharing. I'm a dreamer though. I've been working on this stuff myself for a long time. Obviously, always can be improving. Yet I'm thinking about affirmations and journaling and this belief that everything's working out for me for the logical thinker or the analyzer. And I don't know. I'm just putting this out there that it may not be as easy for some people to step into the belief around what we're talking about. What do you say, or how do you support people who just, they thought logically their whole life and it's like opening up to the mindset that like, yes, our beliefs actually can create our reality. And when we're connected to our intuition and the universe and we practice these things, it does actually change the course of the direction of where we're going. So, what would you say to people who struggle with just even believing that in the first place?
I think you have to make the examples as real world as possible. Let's look at Einstein. He's one of the, okay, talking science, Einstein, right? However, he had to have this level of creativity and imagination and being open to things in order for him to have ideas of, oh, maybe it could be this way. Again, like I feel like it's a different part of your brain than the analytical part of your brain. You're at that, and I love analysts, but oftentimes they get caught up in the how versus in what it is that they want. So as long as you believe that what you want is possible, the how will sort itself out. Even when it comes to Henry Ford, he was like, this is what I want. Y'all are going to figure this out. He didn't get caught up in the how of it, but that people that were the analytical people had to be like, okay, he said it. So then we have to work this out. It's going to happen. Same thing with Nikola Tesla. Like, just even the things that he was able to create when it came to like energy and energy production, it didn't happen before. But every time there's been an innovation, it's always been from these analytical people, from these very like rational people that have just chosen to say, oh, this could be an option. Let's play with this. And just having that sense of play is going to be what's supportive. Now, I do want to make sure that for our analysts, you're not confusing being a realist to having creativity, because you can like really lock in and lock out a lot of the possibilities of your life if you're still focused on what the present is. You've created the present based on the previous things that you've thought, which is great. And if you still want that, keep thinking the same thing. But if you want something different, you got to start playing with allowing new things to come in too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Great example, Cheryl. And I love, and that's, you nailed what I was also wanting to get at, which is like not focusing on the how to, really focusing on what the desire is. And so, yeah, I love those examples. And so here's a question that I just came to my mind
Mhm.
is what would be some don'ts when it comes to affirmations? Like is there anything that we like shouldn't do or that you see people doing, quote unquote, maybe not as effectively or incorrectly or wrong, for lack of better words?
I feel like the only way to do, there's two ways to do it wrong. And it would be to do it from a space of I have to or I should, doing it from that space of scarcity. If I don't do this affirmation, then I'm never going to be rich and my life is going to be shit. And blah, blah, blah. And we're spiraling. You're like, this is not the energy we need to take to this. And then also doing it and then also feeling like this isn't going to work. If you already feel like it's not going to work, then it's not going to work for you. Like you've already created that. That was your affirmation. Even if you're like, oh, I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise. No, I'm not. Like I have colon cancer. Then congratulations. You're going to have colon cancer. So I think the biggest thing is to think about what you're thinking about. There's just so many ways that people play with affirmations. Like I know I like to work with the I am. Some people like to work with you are when you're like, there's just so many different ways to play with it. It just has to feel good to you. It doesn't feel like you're expanding. Does it feel warm? Does it feel like you're stretching? Versus, does it feel like you're contracting? Does it feel cold? Does it feel like hard or grating? If it's any of the latter, then this isn't working for you. Take a step back. Sometimes if you're focusing too much on the nitty gritty or the thing that you want, and it gets to feel like you're pushing, you got to take a step back and go more general. And that's why affirmations like life loves me, everything is always working out for me, those more general ones are easier for people to play with than more specific, the ones like I'm wealthy, I'm in a healthy relationship, I'm abundant in all areas of my life, that can have a little bit of that friction for people.
I love that. When speaking of this, based on what you just said, do you feel that the more specific you are with your affirmations, the better? Let's say with wealth, for example, would it be great to say, I want to be making 10,000 months? Or is that limiting us sometimes? Is it better to just say, I want to call in wealth that's going to allow me to do A, B, and C? What's your take on how specific to be?
So, two things there. We're going to switch the I want to I am, because I
Mm.
want, it means that it's not here yet. And then it depends on, again, how you feel. So for you, even as you were saying those two statements, which one felt better to you?
The second
This,
one, where I'm calling in wealth.
yeah, because it could come in so many different ways. But then I think the reason that we want this money is that so we can experience this feeling of wealth. We want the freedom. We want the play. We want the expansion, right? Because we all know some people that are making millions of dollars and that hate their lives. The money is great. And sometimes, yes, the money is the goal. Like at this point in my life, the money is the goal because I love the idea of seeing this money come in my account, seeing all the zeros and be like, yeah, look at me, I did it. And at the same time, I know it's also going to allow me to be able to do more play too.
Yeah, no, great. I love it. Oh my gosh, I'm getting excited talking to you. I'm excited to get off the episode and put some of this into practice for myself. Okay, in the spirit of starting to wrap up a little bit, I have a question and then we're going to have you share where we can find you and we can get all your good tools and information. And then I have a few last questions. Yet, how does journaling, if we link these two together, how does journaling and affirmations complement each other in building a strong entrepreneurial mindset?
I like to say, again, if you have an affirmation or if you have an intention, writing it down is going to take it to the next level versus just thinking it or versus just saying it, right? We've got a level of energy here, a level of energy here, and a different level of energy here. Even if you're throwing in all three, it's even better. So what I do, and if you've gotten a chance to see, even especially with my planner, I'm just going to pull it out because I have it right here. I use it every day. But the thing that I love about this planner is that in writing, I actually have this bit where it's like my intention for the week. So you can put that at the top there. So if you're writing down my intention of the week or my affirmation of the week is to feel powerful, is to feel abundant, is to allow in X, Y, and Z, every time you're doing something, you're taking that energy into the things you're doing. Now, because you wrote it down along with all of the rest of your to-dos, your get-to-dos as well, it just amplifies all the energy that you've got attached to that as well and just makes it easier too. I always like to say that when you start asking the universe for things, whether it's through using affirmations, journaling, those sort of things, just in the asking, it just opens up some floodgates to let that come to you. So you'll often find that the most random things will happen. Like you want to make this much money. I just got like an email for somebody that wants me to do a workshop next week, or I want to sell like this amount of product. Then randomly I had somebody like reach out from a promotion company that wants to buy a whole bunch of stuff. So just in writing it down, it makes it so much easier.
I love those moments when it just comes out of left field, yet it's not out of left field. Right?
And I'm just like, good job, girl. Look at you asking for things.
That is hilarious, right? The first step is asking, right? Being willing to ask for it. Huge. I remember, I think Jim Rohn does a big speech and he was like, it's on YouTube or something. And he's talking to a big audience. I am going to give you the answer you've all been wanting your entire life. And everybody's like hanging on their seats. And he's, here is the answer to it all. And he's asked. And then that was it. And you're welcome. That was basically it. Okay. So Cheryl, where can people find you? Where can we get that planner you just put up? Where can we get your notes, your affirmations, the tools? Possibly have you be somebody who does a workshop if somebody's listening and they run a business or want you to come and speak. So maybe talk about two things. Where can we find you? And then share a little bit more about PleaseNotes because there's more to it, right? Like you have other aspects of the business. So maybe just talk about that.
For sure. Where you can find me all over the internet. My website is PleaseNotes.com. So please, as in please and thank you, notes as in notes of love.com. On that website, you'll be able to see all of the goodies, like all of the physical products, pens, affirmation cards, planners, journals, everything. I've also got like some free downloadables, like exercise sheets, all those different things. And then also on that site, and then on the Cheryl Sutherland site, so CherylSutherland.com, you'll be able to find some more information about like the things that I do speak about, some of my workshops, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'm always on LinkedIn, especially for professional stuff. Again, if you want me to have or do a private workshop for you, if you want me to come to your house, I've also been doing a lot of workshops for some of my retail partners. So whether it's like an intro to gratitude and then help them sell some gratitude journals, like I'm always here to support my retail friends. That looks like a couple different ways. And then my new subscription service that I have just launched, where you get monthly journaling prompts. And then you also get an affirmation track from me. So it's about 6 minutes and then it's got a main theme and then the matching affirmations around it. It's absolutely beautiful. I listen to it and I cry a little. I don't know. It throws me off sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, yes, it's true.
I love it. I love it. Just to see what you've created from starting with a journal prompt, right? Bringing it full circle. It's pretty amazing and magical, Cheryl. That's so awesome. And you are actually going to be giving all of our listeners a free gift today, a free 5-day journaling challenge. Can you
Mhm.
just share what that
Yeah.
is?
So basically, just getting you in the practice of getting the journaling happen. We will go through, we're really focusing on confidence, but in those 5 days, you're going to have different journaling prompts and then different focuses as well. That if you do decide to do this work, you're going to come out the other side feeling like a completely different person, that you could do the things that you really want to do, that you trust yourself. And that again, like leaning into that intuition and that that conversation with yourself, we're going to take that to the next level.
Thank you so much. And so I'll put that link in our show notes with all of your social media handles and your website so everybody can find you and get your products and use your products to support them. And okay, so Cheryl, a few last questions. So what would you say today would be your version of success for yourself?
Ooh, Kelly, it's hard because I feel like I am currently living my version of success. I think the only thing I would change, and I know it's a tiny, subtle shift, is just the amount of money in my bank account. And I'm there. Like, I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I get to help people in the way that I like to help them. I get to talk to my family when I want to talk to them. I can exercise when I want to exercise. I feel like I live a very successful life.
I love it. I love it. And congratulations for that.
Thank
That's amazing. And so my podcast, the tagline is Unleashing Greatness Within. What would be 3 tips you would give the listeners to unleash their inner greatness?
Stop getting in your own way, ask for help, and be kind to yourself.
Nice. And what would be one call to action that you would have based on your message today for everybody to do the moment they get off this episode and they're inspired? What's the first thing they can go and do for themselves?
Go to my website and sign up for the 5-day journaling challenge. Let's be honest, it's free and you get to start practicing with it right away. You have to stay in that energy and like the momentum, let the momentum take you where you want to go. So if this feels good to you, then that's the way that your gut is telling you, that your body is telling you, yes, let's move forward. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. If you're like, oh, that's cool, whatever, then it could be you just are hanging on to this for something else in the future. It doesn't even matter. Hashtag no attachment. But if it feels good, if you're excited about it, then take the next step and listen to yourself.
Oh my gosh, Cheryl, thank you so much. Thank you for being here today and just sharing the power of affirmations and journaling. I'm excited to do the 5-day challenge. I'm going to get off and do that this week and just appreciate you being here and just congratulations on all your success and just the impact that you're making in the world.
Yay, thank you so much. This is so super fun.
Awesome. Until next time. Thank you, Cheryl Sutherland, for coming on the episode today and talking about the power of affirmations and journaling. Such a powerful episode around the value of implementing these practices and habits. And I love how she shared that journaling really is about having a conversation with ourselves. And I've always believed that I have the answers. And sometimes I just am not sure how to pull it out or get clear on trusting myself and what the right answers are, yet I know I have them. And what a great tool to have, journaling, to bring forth those answers. And then affirmations to believe in myself that I can do and be and have whatever it is that I desire. And so I hope for all of you listening, that was a part of the message that you got. And please go and do her free 5-day journaling challenge and see what comes from it. I would love to hear from all of you that choose into that. Please and download this episode, come back and leave a comment anyways. Yet if you do the free 5-day journaling, leave a comment around the value that you got. You could even email me and let me know and I could pass it along to Cheryl. And definitely go and check out her tools and her website and get some tools that will support you with your goals in your business. And just thank you so much, as always, for listening. I am so grateful for the community and the audience that I have built, and for all of you that tune in. Thank you so much. With love, greatness, and success, it's your host, Kelly Beveridge.